Hey, what's going on everyone? Matthew from therighttrader.com back today with another cryptocurrency video. I'm going to be talking about what I think is going on with the cryptocurrency market right now, what I think is in store for the future, and what I think is really happening right now as far as, kind of what's going on behind the scenes, what the big money is doing, what the smart investors are doing, what the whales are doing, and how that's going to affect the market prices in the next couple weeks / maybe even the next couple months. I hope it doesn't last that long, but it definitely could based on what I think is happening. And what I wanted to point out is I'm not, trying to create fear or anything like that. I have full interest in, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies doing well. So I'm not trying to scare anybody off. I'm just really reporting on what I think is happening here. And don't think that I'm trying to scare the market off or anything like that. That's not the case. I got called out for that in this video, and this video actually turned out kind of true. So that's not my goal at all, right? Now, I do want to give you a heads up though on what I think is happening, and I'll talk a little bit about what's been going on with the jumping prices of Bitcoin, very volatile, Litecoin as well, Ethereum as well, and to give you like a quick rundown of what's been happening, Bitcoin broke above $10,000, Ethereum above 500, and Litecoin above 100. Now, Litecoin and Ethereum broke below those levels, and Bitcoin did dip, again back below 10,000, and now is hanging above it for now. But I do think it'll drop more, and that's very indicative of what I think is happening and what's to come. Because when we hit those big round numbers like that and break above them, what's supposed to happen is pretty much a full breakout where stuff moves even higher pretty quickly. Now, we did see that for Bitcoin, right? It moved above 11,000, but that didn't really hold that well, and we dipped all the way back down, below $9,000 even, which isn't a good sign, right? Normally, what's supposed to happen in the case of a pullback after a big round number breakout is maybe dipping back to 10,000 and then bouncing off that, but that didn't happen, right? It moved lower, which isn't a good sign. That's basically kind of a failed breakout, and it's even more meaningful by the fact that this was a major moment for cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin especially, with that $10,000 mark. And you may have seen a lot of articles with headlines like this, right? So this is a Coindesk article. I'm just going to focus on the headline here, but it's basically Bitcoin / cryptocurrencies facing their mainstream moment, right? Obviously, over the past couple of days, especially, the attention and focus on cryptocurrencies, I think, has probably been at one of its highest points ever, really, with this Bitcoin $10,000, a really significant milestone. And what I think is happening, I think that the mainstream moment is definitely kind of true. Now, basically, what's been going on, I think, is, especially over the past couple of days, a lot of new investors, basically newcomers to the whole scene, saw all the hype around cryptocurrencies, saw Bitcoin, just flying sky high and not stopping, same with other cryptos, and put their money into it, right? Total beginners. So that's not to say that it was, not a smart move. It's just that a lot of new people in investing and trading kind of get in at the worst time possible, right? And that's just because, you may have seen the image of the kind of chart where you have the different cycles of the market, where it's basically like a depression and then euphoria all at the high where everyone is buying. That's kind of what's going on right now. And then it falling back down, and the cycle repeats itself where it goes back up and everything, right? I don't think that cryptocurrencies are done for anything like that, but I do think we're going to see a bit of a downtrend and pullback moving forward. So basically, that's what I think is happening is, for one, a lot of these sort of beginner investors and stuff like that, basically just average retail people that put some of their money into crypto, got in basically at the high, and all the smart, big players were basically selling off to them, right? This is a very common pattern in the stock market. It's seen time and time again, really. It's basically, buy low, sell high, sell the hype, and buy when no one wants to buy, right? So obviously, when people aren't really, aware of the whole market, are kind of new to this, they just kind of jump in without really knowing what's going on, while when the more experienced players are actually selling off to them at the highs, which is obviously kind of the smarter thing to do when you think about it, right? You're much better off getting in when there's a dip. So what's happening now is, I'm going back to the mainstream thing because this is important. a lot of people were talking about, and especially in my video over here, right? My Bitcoin drop video, definitely check that out if you want some more information. A lot of people were saying, Bitcoin isn't going to drop, it's only going to go higher now. And like I said, I'm not like bearish on Bitcoin long term. I do think it's going to go higher, but they were very, kind of optimistic about the fact that there was this big money coming in, big institutions, big investors, the futures that are coming up for Bitcoin and stuff like that, and basically kind of cryptocurrencies turning into the stock market in a way. The problem with that is that I don't think that a lot of those people realize what that means. That's not, the best sign overall. And you have to realize that the stock market is a pretty dirty playing field, right? There's quite a bit of manipulation that goes on and stuff like that. And if Bitcoin kind of goes more mainstream with, big players entering the market and stuff like that, the prices will have, very strategic cycles, I'm going to say, where the smarter, traders and investors really kind of play the retail and less experienced people for fools, where they'll get caught in bad positions and end up selling, basically panic selling and making all the wrong moves, right? So that's not what I want to see, but I think that the playing field is going to become more and more like that, where, if you're just kind of in this to try to make a quick buck and you're not really aware of the bigger picture and what's really happening, you're going to end up making all the wrong moves while, the big players, big institutions scoop up all the money. And that's pretty sad if that's really going to happen for cryptocurrencies. I'm not saying that it's fully going to become like that, but I do think that we're going to head a bit more towards that route with this more, institutional type money coming into play. And I do think you should all be aware of that possibility, because it's going to change the playing field. And like I said, if you're just kind of playing around, you're probably going to get hurt pretty badly. I would say that at this point, holding on to cryptos is a pretty smart move. That's not financial advice. That's just my opinion. Personally, I'm going to hold most of my positions no matter what happens. If it starts dropping more and stuff like that, I'm just going to stand still. But a lot of people will fall for the fear and stuff and panic sell, get in at highs, and just kind of repeat bad patterns where they just end up losing money, right? Like I said, all the meanwhile, the smarter players will be dumping at the highs, making loads of money, and scooping back when it's low. And that's a pattern that always happens no matter what, but now even more so when there's going to be these more serious players in the market that know what they're doing versus, average retail investors and traders. So that's kind of what I see happening for, cryptocurrencies right now. Let me know your thoughts on that. Let me know if you agree with, this sort of institutional money that's going to come and kind of play around with the market and mess over, beginners basically and stuff like that. Very typical for newbies to jump in, at all-time highs, thinking that they're going to make a bunch of money, and what we see right after that, everything starting to dip back lower. Probably, bigger players dumping off their positions at the high, like I said. And right now, just to give you a little bit of information on what's happening, Bitcoin is still holding relatively steady. But a lot of the other cryptos are really took a hit here, down, easily 10-15%. And like I said, based on what I expect on these bigger players, kind of moving the money around in smarter ways, we're probably going to see the market move much lower now. I don't want to try to scare too many people off or anything, but I do think that we're going to see a bit of a downtrend here. For Bitcoin, for example, we could start moving back towards some of these trend lines over here, and really the big players will probably create a scare where everybody will start selling, especially people who just jumped in. And then when we're nice and low, scoop everything back up, and everything is like normal again, where we're back to $10,000, $11, moving up to $15,000. This is a very common pattern, like I said, in the stock market and everything. And I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up on what I think was going to happen. Let me know what you think of all of this. I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, make sure to like and subscribe.